unique cultural festival called the Igede Agba Yam Festival. The festival is celebrated annually by the Igede people and their well-wishers across the globe every first day of Ihigile market in the month of September to usher in new yams.
The Igede people are culture bound. They live by their culture. And one of those things that they really celebrate is to remember their ancestral father. We are great farmers. The Igede people are great farmers. And they celebrate the yam. The king of the farm produce is, of course, yam. We celebrate it.
First of all, I want to make it clear that Igede Agba Yam Festival celebration has nothing to do with pagan celebration. It is not fetish. It is purely a cultural display. And this is a period when a lot of sons and daughters of Igede, both in diaspora and nationally, come home. And this is also a period when
President Muhammadu Buhari elected president of the Niger Basin Authority at the end of the 11th summit in Benin Republic.
Part of the continuing support from the United States to the government and the people of Nigeria to defeat Boko Haram.
U.S. government boosts war against insurgency with donation of marine-resistant armored protective vehicles. And Bayelsans go to the polls Saturday to conclude governorship elections. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I'm Elizabeth Banu and we're reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. The 11th summit of the heads of state and government of the Niger Basin Authority member countries has ended in Cotonou, Benin, with the election of President Muhammadu Buhari as the new president. Correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that President Buhari, who was unanimously elected by the 9 participating heads of state to succeed President Boni Yayi of Benin Republic, is to serve for a period of 2 years. The leaders also elected Dr. Tukta Bugena from Chad as the new Secretary General of the Niger Basin Authority from the withdrawal of other candidates, including Nigeria's Garba Abubakar Ilya.
Has benefit for everybody, and you know, probably we're at the tail end, the extreme downstream end of the River Niger, but in spite of that, we also have the largest investment along the River Niger in terms of population, in terms of land, and in terms of even infrastructure. If you look at Kainji, Shiroro, Jeba, they are all either on the River Niger or the tributaries of the Niger. So we have a lot at stake. Our being member of the Niger Basin Authority provides an opportunity to even monitor the activities going on along the entire basin, so that if there is anything that will have adverse effect on us at the downstream end, we can quickly address it along with the other member countries.
Our President Muhammadu Buhari, has deemed it very important for him to come here today. It means it's very important. People say that when you see the big rat jumping out in the afternoon, it means if nothing is pursuing it, it must be pursuing something. Our president doesn't leave Nigeria for fun, so I believe some good things have been designed for us through River Niger.
9 heads of state of the member countries of the Niger Basin Authority attended the summit. Back home and talking health, the recent outbreak of Lassa fever in Nigeria came to light about 6 weeks ago, with the first case reported from Bauchi State in November 2015. Sequel to this, the Federal Ministry of Health said it has taken measures to curtail further spread and reduce mortality among those affected. Now, the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, has advised Nigerians to ensure strict personal and public hygiene. Health correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju reports.
This was at a media conference to demonstrate federal government's deep concern for public health and to fully address the fears of Nigerians.
In response to these reported outbreaks, the Federal Ministry of Health, under my leadership, has taken the following measures: immediate release of adequate quantities of ribavirin, the specific antiviral drug for Lassa fever, to all the affected states for prompt and adequate treatment of cases. Deployment of rapid response teams from the ministry to all the affected states to assist in the investigation and verifying the cases, as well as tracing all contacts. Clinicians and relevant healthcare workers have been sensitized and mobilized in areas of patient management and care in the affected states. Affected states have been advised to intensify awareness creation on the symptoms and signs, including preventive measures such as general hygiene. Furthermore, it is important to note that Nigeria has the capability to diagnose Lassa fever.
The minister further urged Nigerians to be vigilant and keep their environment clean always, and ensure that foods are well covered and protected to avoid contact with rats. Lassa fever is an acute viral hemorrhagic fever caused by Lassa virus with an incubation period of 1 to 21 days. It could be contracted through contact with infected person's body fluid or the primary animal host known as natal multimammate rat. Some of the symptoms include fever, general body weakness, sore throat, vomiting, and diarrhea. In Abuja, Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
Still talking health, President Muhammadu Buhari will launch the National Health Plan before the end of the month. Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, said this when he featured on NTA's breakfast program, Good Morning Nigeria, which discussed the state of rural healthcare in Nigeria. Joy Uzo reports.
The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, who enumerated some of the initiatives in the health sector by the current administration, says they are coming up with a national health plan to improve healthcare delivery in the country.
Well, Mr. President has offered to launch the Gazette that documented the Health Act, and he has also offered to inaugurate formally the steering committee to implement. When is this? Oh, very soon. It's going to be this month.
According to the Executive Director, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, there are about 30,000 primary healthcare centers in Nigeria, which some experts say are inadequate and unevenly distributed. In spite of government's concerted efforts to revamp the health sector, discussants on the program said the delivery of quality primary healthcare services remains a challenge. Among the gaps noted are poor infrastructure, few or no medical equipment, and pharmaceuticals, which makes community members not to access them for their medical needs.
Some political wards in Nigeria have as many as 5-10, while some don't even have any. That is one. Secondly, when even these facilities are there, you have the challenges of human resources availability. In addition, you also have the challenge of commodities being available and then drugs. So when a Nigerian walk into a health facility, if the human resources are not there, the commodities are not there, of course, you don't expect them to go back.
It's just the services that the people need. And when the services are being provided well, and the people know that if I get to this PHC, I will be able to get the quality service that I need, they will be willing to attend.
Lack of, government allowing the traditional rulers to do their bits, and in most cases, there is a disconnect between health personnel and the community themselves, members themselves.
Other areas of concern discussed include a legislation to make the National Health Insurance Scheme compulsory for all Nigerians, with suggestions on the need to embrace partnership among interested parties as a way to help revitalize the primary health care centers in Nigeria. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
Away from health matters, this year's Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration continued Friday with a special Jumat prayers held at the National Mosque, Abuja. Defense correspondent Muhammad Abdul Qadir reports.
The Deputy Imam National Mosque Kabir Muhammad said remembering the deceased and praying for them regularly is part of the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad. He said those who laid down their lives for peace the nation enjoys deserved to be remembered. The Imam recited special khutbah and prayed for the repose of the souls of the departed, serving and survivors of the civil wars and the fight against terrorism in the country. Imam Muhammad
Holders and deploring of well-equipped manpower. Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazo stated this while receiving a delegation from West Africa Conflict and Security in Abuja. Olajide Bello has details.
The visit by the West Africa Conflict and Security team, according to Catherine Wise, is in furtherance of a roundtable discussion on strategic risk development held in 2014.
He talked about a roundtable that was held at the National Defence College in 2014, looking at insecurity mapping and hearing experiences from Northern Ireland.
Head of the delegation said the visit will, among other things, set agenda for cross-fertilization of ideas geared towards combating insurgency in the Northeast. Describing the Ministry of Interior as the hub of internal security, Minister of Interior Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazo reassures that the ministry is committed towards restoring peace in the Northeast and resettling internally displaced persons.
It doesn't stop at the success of the military operations. There are two parts to it: winning the war and winning the peace. And I believe that your team is pursuing the second aspect of it, winning the peace.
The minister commended the success of the military so far in the fight against insurgency in the country. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
And the Victim Support Fund has urged the Nigerian military to hasten the deployment of a brigade to Gamborungala on the border with Cameroon to facilitate the establishment of an internally displaced persons camp there. Executive Director of the fund, Professor Sunday Ochoche, made the appeal during an assessment visit to the border community in Borno State. Lami Ali reports.
The successful recapture and securing of communities by Nigerian troops hitherto under the control of insurgents boosted the confidence of stakeholders to commence resettlement efforts for IDPs. After the visit to Gamburu town and other locations within Gala local government, including the Borno State International Secondary School, the proposed site for the new IDPs camp expected to house over 12,000 Nigerians who have fled across the border to the Republic of Cameroon. Executive Director of the Victim Support Fund admitted that there are challenges.
No question that there are several IDPs along the road in Gambaru. We've just crossed the border to Cameroon. There are quite a number of Nigerians there anxious to return. The security situation in Gambaru looks from a layman's perspective to be okay. The military have done a good job of clearing the place, but as you can see, it is a ghost town.
We cannot allow them to be in Cameroon because the pressure they are putting to the Cameroon authority is overwhelming.
Cameroonian government, they are asking Nigerian government to evacuate our people. This is where the problem came from. They give us a notice.
They cited the pathetic situation of these IDPs, numbering about 2,000, who had fled their villages to seek refuge in Gala town and were, however, allegedly denied entry by security personnel and therefore left with no option but to set up makeshift tents on this open field without any form of protection for close to 4 weeks.
Yeah, broader. There is no problem between Cameroon and Nigeria.
Still on security, and in Lagos, the United States government has handed over 24 marine-resistant armored protected vehicles to the Nigerian Army to boost the war against insurgency. The handover ceremony took place at the military cantonment in Ikeja.
Minimum carriage capacity of each vehicle is 5 persons,
and can conveniently carry anti-air missiles as well as M15 caliber machine guns. The vehicles can withstand attacks from improvised explosive devices, dynamites and bombs. It also has the capacity to resist deflation, thereby eliminating unforeseen stress caused by deflated tires. The U.S. Defense Attaché to Nigeria, Colonel Patrick Doyle, said the equipment is in line with the United States' resolve to combat insurgency in Nigeria.
As part of the continuing support from the United States to the government and the people of Nigeria to defeat Boko Haram, to present the donation of these 24 mine-resistant, armor-protected vehicles to the Nigerian Army.
The Defense Minister, represented by Chief of Operations, Defense Headquarters, explained that the vehicles would help protect troops from improvised explosive devices and also help in the movement of men with little or no casualties.
As expeditious as it possibly can be done, because these are equipments that we require to prosecute the war efforts in the Northeast.
The U.S. government donated the armored vehicles through the SS Defense Articles program. It is designed to help foreign governments fight security challenges.
In other news, housing and transportation are no doubt major challenges facing workers in the Federal Capital Territory. In this report,
understanding your employees' perspectives, experts say, goes a long way towards increasing their productivity and happiness.
If you want the best from workers, you've got to motivate them. We are looking at the epic civil servant: efficient, productive, innovative, and citizen-centered.
Civil servants again urged the federal government to fulfill all its promises, as this will go a long way towards a better service delivery and a greater Nigeria. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Fresh fire raises shops at Numan Market in Adamawa State. We'll bring you details after these messages. Stay with us.
Nigerians, our fearless officers and men of the Nigerian military are winning the war against Boko Haram. Today, all occupied territories have been recovered and Boko Haram has been degraded. Our affected brothers and sisters are getting their lives back. However, they are now after you and me. In our mosques, churches, schools, motor parks, markets, entertainment centers, and public gatherings. Be vigilant. Be security conscious. Report suspicious persons, objects, and movements to the police and other security agencies. The security of our nation is a duty for you and me. Nigeria, unite against terrorism.
This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
When no one gave him a chance, we were there. We were there when yellow led to I do. We were there when hope was restored and joy rekindled. When innovations empowered startups to become blue chips. When our music became the sound of Africa. And our movies created a billion-dollar industry, we were there. And when tomorrow comes, we will still be here. Because at MTN, we believe Nigeria's future holds even more promise than our past.
You get three kinds of moms. The paranoid mom.
It's hot and it's dirty.
The cautious mom. And the Dettol mom. Only a Dettol mom knows that ordinary soaps aren't enough. She only trusts Dettol to protect her family from up to 100 illness-causing germs, which is why you can worry less and love more. Don't just be any mom, be a Dettol mom. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Introducing the new Dettol 55-gram soap.
with the same germ protection and quality at a more affordable price. Buy the new Dettol 55-gram soap for 80 Naira only. Keep your family protected from germs.
Whenever you recharge your Airtel line, you could win a trip to Dubai for yourself and your family members or closest pals. Win one of 60 trips for 4 to Dubai in the Airtel Red Hot promo. Now that's a trip for 240 people. You could also be one of the 60 instant millionaires. Win smartphones and airtime. Everyone is a winner. Keep recharging to win in the Airtel Red Hot promo with Emirates Holidays.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Brothers and sisters. Though we speak different languages and celebrate different cultures, we were still one Nigeria. There was no bombing, there was no kidnapping, and our children were not cultists. Now, we suspect one another that there are spreads of cultism, bombing, and kidnapping. How long shall this go on? Terrorism is alien, kidnapping is criminal, cultism is barbaric. Nigeria is a blessed country. Supports the Nigeria police and the fight against terrorism, kidnapping and cultism. Always inform the police of any incident around you. Say something when you suspect something.
Remember, we all have a stake in building a crime-free Nigeria of our dream.
This message is from the Nigeria Police Force.
The Nigerian Armed Forces has been there, is there, and will be there for country and citizens. Nigerians, arise now in support and encouragement for our armed forces. Honor our veterans. Remember our fallen heroes, even as we help to take care of those they have left behind. Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2016. Date Sunday 10 January 2016. Interdenominational Church Service. Venue National Christian Center Abuja. Time 12 noon. Wreath laying ceremony Friday 15 January. Time 8:30 a.m. Special guest of honor Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and Grand Patron, Nigerian Legion. Be part of it. Wear an emblem. Announcer Brigadier General Rabe Abubakar, Chairman, Publicity Subcommittee, Armed Forces Remembrance Day Celebration 2016.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. A bit on the political scene now. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Bayelsa State says accreditation and voting for the supplementary governorship election on Saturday will hold simultaneously between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Correspondent Julia Sonny, who has been giving us update from INEC Secretariat in Yenagoa, has more.
Fundamentally, there is a development about the elections, and that was the resolution of the meeting that was held between the Commission and the 20 political parties that contested the election yesterday. And we reviewed a whole lot of things on the way forward for us to have a smooth election on Saturday, the 9th of January 2016. And part of the resolution was that because of the security threats across the state, it was resolved that the accreditation of voters and the voting itself should be done simultaneously. That is to say that after the accreditation, you don't need to waste time for voting. After the accreditation, you go ahead and do your voting. And accreditation, as usual, will start by 8 o'clock, and the voting itself, the election itself, will end by 2 p.m. But anybody that is already on the queue waiting for his or herself a vote to be cast, that person that is already on the queue will be allowed to vote. Any other person apart from that 2 p.m. will not be allowed to be on the queue.
Mr. Warowe said the decision by the Independent National Electoral Commission to simultaneously conduct accreditation and voting in all the polling units at this Saturday's supplementary governorship election in Bayelsa State is to further safeguard the lives of the citizenry. He therefore called on all Bayelsans to come out en masse to exercise their franchise. Meanwhile, INEC has continued the distribution of election materials to the remaining 6 local government areas. They are Southern Niger with the majority of voting units, Nembe, Brass, Yenegua, Ogbea and Sagbama local government areas of Bayelsa State. In Yenagoa, Julia Sani, NTA News.
In the meantime, security agencies have mobilized to beef up security in Bayelsa State in preparation for the election tomorrow, Saturday. Commandant, Nigerian Civil Security and Civil Defense Corps, Bayelsa State, Desmond Agu, says 1,500 personnel have been deployed to the areas where election will be held. Nkemije reports.
The 1,500 personnel of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps are deployed to 7 local government areas where the supplementary governorship election will be held. With the areas covering both land and water, the NSCDC Commandant, Mr. Desmond Ago, said the early deployment is a strategy aimed at providing adequate security for activities concerning the election. Mr. Ago says the personnel have been adequately armed to ensure a hit-free pool in the state. He directed officers to adhere strictly to instructions in order to do their job effectively.
Don't allow yourself once again to be bought by any politician. And don't attach yourself to anybody. And again, we're not deploying you there to go and die. I'm deploying you to go and do your job and come back.
The commandant further said the NSCDC is working in synergy with other security agencies to forestall any breach of law and order, urging all actors to be law-abiding. The police, on their part, is also set for the election.
The security agencies will work hand in hand. The synergy between the security agencies will not give room for miscreants to perpetrate all forms of crimes during the elections.
A large percentage of the 1,500 officers of the NSCDC are deployed to southern Niger, where there will be a fresh election in the entire local government area.
Keeping surveillance and protecting facilities in their primary area of deployment for the Nigeria Civil Defense Corps Bayelsa State Command is their watchword as regards the January 9 supplementary election in Bayelsa State. From the NSCDC State Command Headquarters here in Yenagoa, I am Nkemije, NTA News.
Still in Bayelsa, southern Ijaw local government area occupies about 30% of the entire landmass of Bayelsa State and has an estimated population of over 300,000 people. The local government is known for its rich deposit of crude oil and gas as well as other natural resources. It is, however, a hotbed of politics with a voter population of 120,000. Paul Omukago examines what makes the local government tick.
Southern Niger local government area was created in 1991 from Yenegua under the old River State. With a voting strength of over 120,000, the people are fully involved in the politics of the state. They are friendly, hospitable, and very enterprising. In addition to the primary occupation of fishing and farming, they have also carved a niche for themselves in canoe carving, wrestling, swimming, and diving. The local government has been at the forefront of political history of the old River State and present-day Bayelsa State. There are 17 wards, 425 polling units, and 3 voting points for this Saturday's governorship election in southern Ijaw. Besides its rich mineral and natural resources, the local government area has huge tourism potentials due largely to the topography of the area.
They don't like operation marginalization.
Well, in the very recent past, Southern Nigeria has witnessed violence in elections. It's not a good image for our local government area. And I think elections should be peaceful and there is no reason for antagonism towards one another.
If you have Southern Nigeria, you have your victory in Bayelsa State. It's a teeming ground for every politician.
We have 4 constituencies. As of assembly, we have 4. It's because of the size and the voting strength.
Southern Ijaw local government area is also known to have a fertile soil for large-scale rice farming. The local government produced the first executive governor of Bayelsa State and the person of late Chibdieprie Alamesia. It has benefited from successive government in the area of political appointment and has prominent stakeholders on the major parties contesting in this Saturday's election. Probably the reason for the strong contention in the area. In Yenegua, Paulo Mukago, NTA News.
The present administration deserves commendation, not condemnation, on its war against corruption. The Director General, All Progressives Congress Support Group, Comrade Jamilu Yusuf, stated this at a press conference here in Abuja. Ismail Musa has details.
Since the inauguration of the APC-led administration in May 2015, Comrade Yusuf stressed that the government have vowed to rid the nation of corruption, a social vice that has for decades hampered the economic development of Nigeria, a nation blessed with abundant human and natural resources.
At this point of our national life, what every meaning Nigerian should be doing is to render support to the anti-graft institution to enable them to prosecute the war against corruption and not opposing the fight against those who gang up to share our commonwealth among themselves.
On the allegation that the campaign is targeted at selected people, Comrade Yusuf noted that existing records of those facing various charges has disproved the wrong notion.
If you could remember way back, this Nyako is from the APC. Colonel Jafaru Isa was also part of the people that EFCC have caught. They are in the EFCC custody by now. And I think these are people from the All Progressive Congress.
While appealing to Nigerians to desist from making unguided statements that are derogative to the president and his office, he enjoined the youth to support the war against corruption. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Another fire has gutted more than 20 shops with valuables worth millions of naira at the old market in Numan, one of the major cities in Adamawa State. Ladibala reports that the inferno, which is the second in less than 1 week in Adamawa State, has left victims counting their losses and in need of support.
The rising cases of fire disaster, particularly in markets across the country, is assuming an alarming proportion and threatening the socio-economic lives of the people. NTA News gathered that the inferno at the old market in Numan, which gutted about 20 shops, mostly housing tailors, clothing materials such as wrappers, carpets, and assorted cooking oil, started as a result of electrical spark at about 12 midnight and lasted till 3 in the morning when it was put off through community efforts.
Plead the government to help us in this problem. We can't do anything.
This is my shop. And everything completely burnt. My tools and then properties belonging to my customers.
Commenting on the situation, the head of service, Numan local government area, Mr. Boniface Godia, said relevant authorities have been contacted for necessary support and assured the victims of quick response to their plight. In Eola, Ladibala, NTA News.
We'll now join Vera in Lagos for an update on the Oshodi Electronics Market demolition. Hello, Vera. It's over to you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good evening and welcome to Lagos. The Lagos State government says the demolition of Owonifari Electronic Market Oshodi was necessitated by the need to have orderly and safe Lagos. The issues concerning the demolition were clarified at a press briefing at the State House at Lassa, Ikeja. Victoria Alabode reports.
The vision of the Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode to create a Lagos that works for all has been demonstrated as he considered occupants of former Owonifari Oshodi Market to relocate to a Sopakodowo new market at 5,000 naira monthly. Stakeholders on urban planning said the Lagos State government had engaged the leadership of the market for 10 years before taking action on the demolition of about 600 shops.
We saw weapons there. Absolutely. And we needed to take charge. The government needed to be responsible to the generality of the citizens, not to a couple of recalcitrant marketers who, by the way, already have an alternative there.
We invited the management team of that market to our expo. His Excellency moved down to the market. They were up there. And they agreed that day that they will move. They even said they can't pay 20,000, that it will be 15,000. They came again to say 5,000. We agreed. A bunker there. You don't know the purpose of that. You know what is a bunker? You know what it means? You don't know what they're hiding there.
Officials of the state government said they were on site of the demolition to ensure no goods were destroyed. Also, the required statutory notices were served on all occupants between 21st of December last year to 5th of January this year. In Lagos, Victoria Olabode, NTA News.
Adequate support and motivation for the Nigerian armed forces will go a long way in the fight against insurgency in the country. Governor Rauf Aregbesola said this in Osogbo at the launch of 2016 Armed Forces Remembrance emblem. Adeni Taiwo reports.
The Nigerian Armed Forces has been involved in various wars, with many losing their lives and others maimed for life. Donating a sum of 1 million naira towards their welfare, Governor Rauf Aregbesola says the fallen heroes and legionnaires have sacrificed a lot for others to be free. He said the veterans and their dependents will be catered for to make their life worthwhile.
The least we can do as a government and people is to keep the memory of these soldiers alive. Support those that are alive and take adequate care of the families of their departed.
The state chairman of the Nigerian Legion, Colonel Alimi Samotu, says while the federal government has been paying arrears of military retirees, government needs to pay the remaining benefit to make life more bearable. The launch of the 2016 emblem also featured donations from various groups and political functionaries in Osogbo. Adini Taiwo, NTA News.
And moving on to business now. President Muhammadu Buhari has been advised to strengthen critical institutions that will guard against leakages and corruption on the implementation of the 2016 budget. Let's join Amechi Pius on our Business News segment.
Welcome to Business News. The successful implementation of the 2016 national budget will likely be dependent on the proactive and efficient management of the federal government. A financial consultant, Dr. Oladimeji Alo, said this in an interview with NTA Business News in Lagos. Dr. Alo said the bane of the nation's development is that large part of its resources are stolen in the course of procurement, thereby denying Nigerians value for money.
If we spend 1 naira of government money, we at least get value that is equivalent to at least 80 kobo or 85 kobo. But what we had in the past, which is being shown by some of the revelations that we're having now, is that for every naira you spend in Nigeria, hardly does government get value up to 40 naira. And so about 60% is filtered into people's private pockets, into wastages and corruption. So one great challenge this government has is to ensure that we get value for every naira spent.
Dr. Alo commended the federal government for the introduction of the Treasury Single Account, TSA, and the Bank Verification Number, BVN, which he explained have had positive impact on the economy.
You ensure that every item that is in the budget is not just spent because it is there. It is spent because it is consistent with the intentions of government and it is consistent with the strategy of government to move the economy forward. Point number 2 is that you must relate how you are doing on the income side to how you want to spend money on the expenditure side.
He wants government to concentrate on infrastructural development and also create an environment for effective public-private partnership in that regard. And that's all the business this evening. Thanks for watching. Good evening.
This is the Lagos Network Center of the NTA. We take some messages now, after which the news continues in Abuja with Elizabeth. Stay with us.
Introducing the new 5 Alive Pulpy Orange.
Where is the pulp? The pulp. Where is the pulp? Where is the pulp?
Taste the goodness of real orange pulp in every gulp.
Where is the pulp?
The new 5 Alive Pulpy Orange, now in your neighborhood.
Every day, more and more people are waking up to a more advanced toothpaste. A toothpaste that's already improving the oral health of millions of Nigerians. A toothpaste that's committed to making Nigeria's teeth healthier and stronger. That toothpaste is Oral-B Pro Health. Unlike regular toothpaste, its advanced fluoride technology gives you better protection against bacteria and gum problems that can lead to tooth loss. So come on, join us today. Oral-B Pro Health for healthier, stronger teeth in 1 week.
Joni. Always. We have lived together as brothers and sisters since long time in Muriva, without no mind that we have spoken different languages and celebration our cultural and diversity. No bombing, no cultism, no kidnapping. Nowadays our children are trampoline to cultists. Today we are suspicion one another. All this notorious behavior have scattered all over Nigeria. When are you going to change? When are you going to stop? Terrorism are unwanted visitors. Kidnapping are criminal. Cultism are barbaric. Do not destroy this country, oh. Our country, Nigeria, are blessed, oh. Are you see what I'm saying? Support Nigerian police force in their civil war against terror, kidnapping and cultism. Report any bad move around you. See and does not talk, I kill old age. And to hear and does not behavior, I kill small picking. All of us have the duty of building Nigeria free of crime. That's our dream.
This message is from the Nigeria Police Force.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Now, a bit on agriculture. The federal government is to spend $300 million on youth agriculture scheme. The initiative, which is to be achieved in collaboration with the African Development Bank, is to boost the nation's food production and create wealth among the teeming youth of a country. Musa Baba Aliu has details.
The federal government and African Development Bank, in collaboration with International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, are planning towards finding a lasting solution to youth unemployment through agriculture. The $300 million project, which will be implemented across the country, is expected to create about 250,000 jobs within 18 months. Under the program, beneficiaries will be trained in all aspects of agricultural production and financial support given to beneficiaries as startup. The officials of the supporting organizations had met with the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development on the takeoff of the project.
We will expect that in the first year, we will be able to reach 12 states plus Abuja, federal capital. And each of them will train 200 young people every year. We believe by the third year, the entire federation will have been covered.
Minister of Agriculture Chief Adu Ogwe disclosed that the project would commence from the 3 federal universities of agriculture in the country.
We are looking at siting processing plants in various villages across. Palm oil processing, palm kernel cracking, palm kernel oil processing, rice milling, small rice mills, 2 tons, 3 tons a day, 4 tons. Groundnut oil processing in villages, fish smoking along the waterfronts where they smoke fish.
The minister therefore tasked IITA to intensify efforts towards researching into the conversion of cassava leaves into animal feeds and other usage. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Still on agriculture, the federal government has restated its commitment to diversify the nation's revenue generation base by exploring business opportunities in the agricultural sector. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture is driving the process and will be working with relevant public and private groups to achieve the mandate. Gufan Shaji reports that several groups are already partnering with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture.
Opportunities in agriculture is one of the priority areas of focus for the current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. In doing this, government realizes the imperatives of partnership with key agencies and groups both in the public and private sector. One of such group which appears to believe in the diverse business opportunities in agriculture is the Presidential Amnesty Program. The Amnesty Office hopes to partner with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture to grow a breed of young agricultural entrepreneurs. Fish farming is of particular interest to both the groups.
Look at developing the fish industry there, both from the ocean and from fish farms and smoking, processing of preservation of fish, to cut down the import bill on fish from $600 million a year to as low as we can.
The partnership between the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and the Presidential Amnesty Office is expected to create platforms for youth to start small and medium-scale businesses in fish farming. The target population will be drawn from the deluge of delegates under the program, some already trained and some needing training.
Great with him to develop the agri sector in the South Nigeria, and I have been assured that the area of agriculture, particularly rice farming, fish farming, and cassava and palm kernel, will be focused on.
Both government agencies are also exploring other agricultural opportunities to create employment and fast-track the reintegration of trained delegates under the Amnesty Program into civil society. In Abuja, Gufan Shaji, NTA News.
Up ahead, some global tidbits, sports news, and what the weather will look like Saturday. Don't go away, stay with us, we'll be right back.
Everyone wants power, so feel powerful with the NTA News mobile app, the one-stop information center. Real news at your fingertip. Be the first to report by uploading first-hand information on the U-Report link, and be the first to know by simply clicking on any of the links on the sidebar for headlines, domestic and foreign news, economy, security, politics, sports, and more. Stream live on your smartphone and tablets and stay connected. It's pretty easy. Simply download NTA News app from your Google Play Store and you're good to go. NTA News mobile app, your access to real-time information.
Would you like some water? It's cold, especially for you.
Which era are you living in? We have a fridge.
When everything else in your house is from the present, then why are your toilet cleaning methods from the past? Harpic all-in-one for you. Compared to other toilet cleaners, Harpic removes top stains, kills all germs, and removes bad odors. For a shining clean and fresh toilet.
Wow.
You should also take the Harpic
all-in-one challenge.
Joni.
So, Afana, not to do so. Na promo. You step on become millionaire. You never hear say NAFDAC don't bring wetin they call mobile authentication service. We go help us know whether medicine na fake or not before we pay. Now, come see. As I scratch this thing wey be like recharge card so, come send the pin to 38353 free of charge. I will call receive text message to confirm. Okay, original. Troy, just like that, we confirm whether medicine na fake or not. Instant. Now when you say no wise up, make you help not and spread the story. Na the way that. Madam, come and take your money.
Now, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, they bring on this message.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir apologizes over country's crisis, and Madagascar's protest State House dinner for over 1,000 people despite the country's financial difficulties. Also, Belgium prosecutors discover Paris attacks suspects' hideout. These are more on Global Tidbits with Chimdima Ndebisi.
As South Sudan takes the peace path towards forming a national